Have you seen the Manti Te'o documentary?
I've not seen it.
Or as he said, Te'o. Manti Te'o.
Manti Te'o.
Te'o. It's not Te'o. It's Te'o. That's how you say it. I'm Hawaiian. Part Hawaiian.
It's just T-E-O, so there's no...
It's T-E''O.
Yeah, so Te'o.
Te'o. That's how he says it.
Not Te'o.
Te'o.
I know. Te'o.
No, but everybody, all
I saw it was like the
Te'o.
number 2 movie on Netflix right now.
Well, it's not a movie, but whatever it is.
It's a documentary.
Yes.
It's not a series.
So it's
which falls under the movie category, Ben.
It's a series called Untold, and this is one story of many stories that this series talks about. And there's another one on the, I know you're not a basketball fan, I'm not either, but remember Ron Artest when he went up in the stands? That was a good one too. But anyway, the Manti Te'o. You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh. Have you seen it yet? Make the time. It's 2 parts, an hour each. I had forgotten.
I forgot all about it.
I was like, Manti Te'o was the furthest thing from my mind until I saw this pop up on my Netflix.
He's not still playing, is he?
No.
So I know he like hung around a lot longer than people because he had obviously a disappointing start to his NFL career.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing him. I was like, oh, he's still playing.
Yeah. I don't think
he was in San Diego.
I think
for a while.
Done. Yeah. So you got drafted by San Diego. Then I think bounced around Bears, Saints, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, Saints is where I was when I saw him. I was like, oh, I forgot he's still playing.
But he was 2012 was his draft year.
Okay.
But yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, go to Netflix. Even if you're not a football fan, it's a fascinating story. So Manti Te'o was an unbelievable linebacker for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And during his junior year, he starts a relationship with this girl he met online. Mm-hmm. And not to do this whole spoiler alert, but
just do it.
Just do it. If you haven't heard it, this is 10 years ago, so if you haven't heard it by now. Ends up, this girl is not actually a real person. He's being catfished, which at the time, nobody really knew what catfishing was. That was a term that was very, it was very unknown at the time. And so and it just goes through the whole, they interview the person that actually did it to him.
They got that far into it.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a dude?
It was a dude, sort of.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was a dude that's now a she.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway.
So, the relationship was all online. Like, they never.
All online. 100%. Never met in person. But here's the wild thing. They would talk on the phone. This guy, who's now a girl, was able to change her voice and sound like a female. So she used, I guess she is the right term now. She used these fake pictures. Again, this was back when this wasn't a thing. So it would be impossible to do now, I think, or near impossible.
Yeah.
Closer, much harder now. And so she used fake pictures. They would text message all the time. They would talk on the phone. That's the most mind-blowing. Now, third-party Monday morning quarterbacks, like, how did you not know? But they played some of the voicemails. It was a girl on the other end of that phone.
Dang.
And this went on for a year and a half. Never met in person. Finally, it culminates in she dies from cancer. And again, I'll let you watch the whole documentary, but people start looking, and this was a massive news. He was a Heisman front runner.
Yeah, it derailed his career.
So because
he was a liar and he was this and he made it up and he this. Like, there's no way you could get duped.
That was the controversy. Is everybody thought he was in on it himself. Yeah. And so it hurt a little bit his draft stock. He ended up going in the second round instead of the first round, which he also tested really bad. His numbers weren't very good. So that didn't help.
Yeah, but how much of that was because of what he was going through?
True. And that's what they talk about. He said during the combine, my mind was, because there's another plot twist, which I won't tell you. You need to go watch it. That I'm like, okay, yeah, that would definitely distract you. So anyway, but now he's married. He's got a little daughter, and it seems like life is good. You can tell he's still impacted by, because think about it. If you meet the guy, what's the first thing?
That's what you think about.
That's what you think about. You don't think about anything else.
The invisible girlfriend.
Right, is the invisible girlfriend. So, anyway, phenomenal.
Here's my thing, though, is like you're in a relationship with someone for a year and a half and you've never seen him in person. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna lose interest after 3 weeks.
Right.
Like, if you're not willing to like connect and meet up, like, sorry, like you're not real to me.
That's what I wonder, because I didn't dive into that. Okay, did you not want to have any? And he tried to meet her in person, but she would come up with excuses and all that. But
like, I'm that person. Like, you get one legitimate excuse where I'm like, okay, like that's fine.
Right.
You get two. Now I'm like, okay, what's up? Like, and then a third one. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
moving on.
Again, third party observer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different points that are like, how did he not know? What was he doing? Why would he continue a relationship with a girl he's never seen in person? How is that even a relationship in the first place? So
do you have a better perspective of him? Like do you have a more favorable perspective of him for sure. After this?
And I don't remember exactly what I thought in the time. I just thought it was weird.
Yeah.
But now I'm definitely like, okay, yeah, that sucks for him.
Yeah.
That really sucks for him.
Okay.
And this is also going to be a weird take, but the person that did it actually seemed to take responsibility and showed remorse for what they did. It wasn't like they were, like making excuses or like this person actually fessed up to it. Now, way too late, obviously, and a lot of damage was done.
Yeah.
But it's not like 10 years later, this person's like making a bunch of excuses still.
Yeah.
Like they're like, no, I screwed up. It got too deep and I didn't know what to do. So, it was fascinating. Very, very fascinating. I would highly recommend. Okay. It's called Untold. I forget the exact title of this particular story, but it's Manti Te'o. And, he seems to be doing great now. Seems to be, like I said, married, has a daughter. I think they're back in Hawaii. I don't know what he's doing. I wish they would have gotten more into what he's actually doing now. They didn't really, but anyway. So, that was what I did this weekend.
All right.
A couple hours of catfishing. It was great. But not what we're going to talk about today.
No.
And before we jump into what we're talking about today, obviously want to thank our partners. I woke up this morning, Monday mornings, the alarm goes off really early. Not quite as early as you apparently, but really early. And it's always that same, every single Monday morning, it's that same debate in my mind. Get up, get after it, or stay in this nice, comfortable Sleep Number 360 smart bed. And I'm telling you, ever since I got the new bed,
it's harder and harder.
It's harder. That decision point gets harder.
Although I will say this, is that when you do wake up feeling like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. I don't need a bunch more sleep. Now, granted, I do just because I'm pretty undisciplined.
They can't help you in the hours that you're not actually in the bed. They can only help you when you get to the bed.
Yes.
So anything you do before you actually lay your head down at night and after, that's not up to Sleep Number. But when you do lay down, you will get the best sleep.
Where it's a problem is, so like yesterday, it was supposed to rain and it did a little bit here and there. And cloudy days, cooler. All I wanted to do was literally go back and get in bed. Yeah. Like go back and get in that sleep number. And it was the first Sunday in a long time that we just didn't do anything. It was glorious.
It's great.
And so I did. I went and got in bed, laid there, and I'm like, literally like, why am I not in this 12 hours a day?
See, when you're an introvert like me, you don't have days where you're like, this is the first Sunday we haven't done anything. Every Sunday we don't do anything. It's great. So anyway, get yourself to a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. And then also, obviously, our partner, Choctaw Casino and Resort. Football season's coming up.
Come on.
I think we're, T-minus 3 weeks from the NFL season. College is actually this weekend.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
It's crazy. Like, 'cause remember they used to start at the same time? They always was like, all right, maybe college football will be like a week, maybe two, like the ones that have like the super early games, maybe 2 weeks. But I just feel like the NFL season just keeps getting further. Granted,
the college games this weekend aren't great. They're just that's no-name schools, which I went to no-name school, so I can talk about that.
It's great football.
Next week it's the better games, and then I believe the week after that is when the NFL. So it's really only about a week apart. But anyway, the point is, the greatest environment to watch these games is the league up at Choctaw Casino Resort. We're actually planning, I think, 3 or 4 different appearances up there this year. So come check us out when we go up there. We'll let you guys know. Come hang. All the food that you want, all the drinks that you want, the massive wall-to-wall TVs. I'm telling you, it's kind of like AT&T seeing Jerry World for the first time. Yeah. It's like you can't really describe it, or the Grand Canyon even. You can't really describe it.
The league and the Grand Canyon.
The league and the Grand Canyon, same sentence, same breath.
I'll go with it. I'll go with it.
Until you actually get your eyes on it in person,
Yeah.
you don't really know what you're about to see.
Yeah.
So get yourself into the league. It's that same. It's the Grand Canyon effect.
Yeah.
We're in a TM trademark that.
Okay.
The league is basically the Grand Canyon. It's
pretty much
what
the
I'm
same
trying
thing.
to say. It's pretty much the same thing. So get yourself up there this fall for some football. Even if you're not a football fan, get yourself up there. There's resort style pool. There's 5-star hotel. There's restaurants. Guy Fieri, the 1842 steakhouse. It's all unbelievable up there. Kids area.
Kids. So let's just say your spouse, significant other, they love sports. Send them to the league. Hey, you go to the spa. You go play some slots. Over 3,000 brand new slots.
Go win you some money while your hubby's in there losing you money on the game.
That's right. That's right.
So get yourself up to Choctaw Casino Resort. It's a short drive up 75. All right. To the topic that I wanted to discuss today. So last week we shared a little bit of our story, and then this past Monday we had my old boss Travis on and talked about his story. And a common theme that kept coming up was how important people are. And how important people are helping you get to where you want to go, how important people are in just your overall quality of life and just enjoying life. Yeah. And I actually saw a quote over the weekend that I wanted to throw out there. When I was thinking about this episode, this just randomly popped up. So it's not like, I planned this, but said, C.S. Lewis said, friendship is unnecessary. Like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things which give value to survival. Now, I would debate a little bit. It does have survival value. You can't survive on your own. I think we've proven that. But the point stands that it's friendships, it's people that bring value to life. Yeah. And it's the people that you meet along the way that help you get to where you want to go or just bring overall joy and happiness to your life.
So Ben, on all these episodes, Ben purposefully does not tell me the topic before these. So literally, like, I'm hearing this for the first time. But it's crazy that this is the topic. Because Friday, I had my mid-year business review, right, with the company. Just kind of where you at, how's things going.
Are you fired?
I'd like to announce I'm a podcast host full time.
The side hustle is now the main hustle.
No, but, and I was honest, like I've been kind of going through a funk the last probably 2 months or so on my day job. Not a funk, like I'm still grinding. I'm still putting 10, 12-hour days, but I work from home a whole lot more than I ever have. And I was honest, and I just shared kind of my heart and where I was at, and I was just like, hey, like I feel like a lack of motivation. I feel like I just don't have the energy to like go business develop, to go do those things. And it's like I'm literally sitting in front of a computer 8-10 hours a day. And I was like, and it's just like I just honestly like I kind of just dread working. And luckily, man, we have leadership, and we have one person in particular in our leadership that like that's what he does is he like mentors us, coaches us, guides us. And instead of him being like, well, I mean, you need to do this, he goes, just a thought is you've been working really hard for a long time. Like, I mean, you're just burnt out. Like for him to acknowledge that and not just say, push through it, work harder. I mean, you need to produce for the company. You need to do this. He's like, you're just burnt out. And I get it. And he goes, and one thing that I've learned about you over the last 5 years is that like, maybe you need to be back around people more. You need to be in the office interacting. And I know like it's a drive for you and I know but like, it seems like people give you energy, and interacting with people, like that's what gives you motivation and energy. And I'm like, yeah. Like isolating myself doesn't translate like to good quality life. Because I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I get to stay home, and the kids are at school now, but like my wife, she'll be like in and out. We actually get to talk during the day, but she's like, I don't get to talk to you. Like you're literally locked in the office. You're in your little cell and you isolate yourself. She's like, that's not you. Like you need to be. She told me 2 days before this, and because we were having kind of a come to Jesus like heart to heart. And she's like, you need to be in front of people. Like, you need to be connecting with people. And the power, and I was just kind of this like realization, like eye-opening conversation on Friday. It was just like, I can't isolate myself. I can't, because that's not how God wired me to be.
Yeah,
so it's crazy that this is the topic today.
Yeah, that makes total sense for you. That people do give you energy, and it doesn't make it does make sense that if you're just sitting at home by yourself and that's how you work, like it actually feeds you to be around folk, be around individuals.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it doesn't feed me, like it's fine, but that is where we differ. I actually prefer, if I'm trying to get work done, I actually prefer to be by myself.
Yeah.
And to be alone and undistracted.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're saying, and I do see the value in being in an environment. And that's why, for a little while there from COVID, the whole work from home thing was great. But we are starting to see the ramifications of a fully, everybody at home work model. Companies are starting to now say, no, get your butt back into work.
Yep.
This date or you're done. You're going somewhere else. Now, they have their reasons for that, but a secondary reason is you do feed off of people in general. And even if you are somebody that likes to work alone, you need people along the way. There's been nothing that I've accomplished in my short life by myself. Not one single thing. I've always needed somebody along the way to help me. And the ego in you says you can do it. The ego in you says you don't need people. But the reality says name a single person who's done anything by themselves. And so I just reflect back after last week's conversation, what we're talking about today. I just reflect back on all the people in my life that have come along that I didn't see coming, that I didn't seek out necessarily, but just ended up on the path that I'm on and the impact that they've made. First and foremost, my parents. Right, that's where it all starts for me, is the benefit of having two loving parents in the home. And I understand not everybody gets that. That is definitely a 100% privilege that I was lucky to have growing up. Two loving parents that cared about me, cared about my growth, cared about my development. That's where it all started for me. And then obviously the friends that you make along the way. Those are some people I think about. Friends I've had since 7th grade that we still talk to this day. And yeah, maybe life's gotten busy and we don't live in the same town and we don't see each other all the time. But when we get back together, it's like we never left. And it's my wife who I met my 3rd year in college, her 1st year in college, and who I've been with pretty much every single day for the last 12 years of my life. And I think about her and the support she's provided. I think about professionally the people that have come into my life. You, Darren, people at work. Right, Darren, I mean, it's not hyperbole to say meeting him changed the course of my life.
Yeah.
If I never meet Darren, I'm not in this real estate business that we're in. This podcast never gets created. This literal sense of joy that I feel every week coming in here and doing this is not ever realized because I never meet him. Yeah. And so I just think about all these people that have come into my life at one point or another. They come and they go, some stay, some don't for whatever reason. And it's just like, it's nothing but gratitude and realizing how insignificant I really am by myself.
Yeah. We got into our journeys a little bit last week. I shared my full story, the very beginning, first 5 episodes or whatever. And the ego in me tells it from a perspective of hard work, right? Like I work super hard, persistent, I never quit, all these things.
Which are important things.
Yeah, but just as easily, my entire story could be framed around I didn't do anything and the people around me are the reason that I got to where I got. Not that I got somewhere that was, deserves a round of applause or anything. But what I'm saying is, okay, so here's a couple examples. Is the opportunity that I got ultimately came back to the UFL. That was when I moved to fullback. The only reason that I got a second workout try to follow this chain, okay, is my running back coach in the UFL worked for the Houston Texans. There was a pro scout there named Kevin Murphy. I don't know. I talked to Kevin Murphy when I was there a few times. Kevin Murphy was a long snapper at Fresno State who had the same special teams coach that I had. He would watch Fresno State because he went there. Talk to my special teams coach on, okay, what's his character? What's his, who is this guy? The running back coach called Kevin Murphy and was like, hey, this kid went to Fresno State. Do you know who he is? And he's like, yes, I like him. He was a tough kid. And John Baxter, the special teams coach, had really good things to say about him. I also wanted to see him as a fullback. The running back coach was like, actually, we're actually just working him out at fullback. We saw him run some routes and have him do this. So literally one of the reasons that I got into the NFL was because somebody that I played for knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was like, that had nothing to do with me. Like, not really, but it matters those relationships, people, because they spoke on my behalf without me even knowing it to give me an opportunity. The other thing that I think about is through our journey is it doesn't always have to be positive. Like being around people is like motivation, good or bad. So I think about some of the people, like I talk about my head coach. I talk about my wrestling coach quite a bit in high school, who I worked my tail off for. We won a state championship. I won an individual championship. I mean, granted, he was a phenomenal coach, like legendary Hall of Fame California high school wrestling coach. I mean, he's a stud. But I remember coming out of wrestling season and him being like, he always talks like that, why are you playing football? Like, you're too slow. You're not athletic enough. Like, you need to go wrestle. And he was passionate about wrestling. But him telling me that I was never, ever going to amount to anything in football gave me motivation. I could not have manufactured that motivation by myself. Okay. My head coach coming out, when I asked him, hey, could some of these scouts that are calling, could you just share that, like, your opinion that I'm a hard worker, I'm going to overperform what my numbers say, and just the things that I did for you at Fresno State. He's like, I just don't think you're good enough to be in the NFL. Maybe Arena League, but I just don't think you're good enough to play in the NFL. That was motivation. Had I not had people that told me that I couldn't do it, that motivation would not have been manifested internally by myself. So good or bad. Now, the other side of it is Tiffany, my parents, my workout partners, my strength coaches, all of these people that like invested in me and trained me for free or met me at 5 a.m. on, to work out or on a lunch break to go do my speed training. Those people were the positive influence that encouraged me, like, you're good enough. You can do this. Like, there is so little that I could have done. And I always say, I'm going to put it on my back. I'm going to put it on my back. And I always revert back to that, which sucks. And that's what I'm doing right now. I was talking about, hey, look, I've got all these projects at work. I'm going to do it. I'm going to lock myself in a room. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm just going to do it myself. As opposed to like, hey, I'm going to bring you along with me. You can help me out. I'm going to bring you in on this project and deal so you can make some money. And this teamwork thing is just going to be better for both of us. No, it's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I'm just going to give away, or I'm just going to give you this. It's like, and then it wears me out. I burn out. I'm not motivated. I resent my job. All these things that I was going through because I'm not surrounding myself around people. Yeah. And I'm not allowing other people to do what they're great at and to contribute and help. And it's just a better ecosystem when you do involve people, surround yourself with people. But to think that, hey, I could go live in a cave by myself, I could train, and I could have accomplished all the same things.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's interesting. You make it to the NFL and you get the accolades, deservedly so. But there's literally hundreds of people that influence that journey for you. going back from Pee Wee football to your parents, to your siblings, to your friends, to your coaches, to your wife, to the scouts. I mean, there's literally hundreds of people.
If I didn't have buddies in high school that were stronger than me, or that were like, I think of my buddy Scott Ferguson. This dude motivated me more than anybody because we battled every single day. This dude is a beast, by the way. Okay, so this dude was 171 pounds. He was our nose tackle. He had 23 sacks his senior year, set a section record. I mean, was a absolute monster because he was strong, he was fast. And then we wrestled together, and I was a little bit bigger than him, but he would beat me just as much as I beat him. And he was in the weight room. We literally, when we finished wrestling season together, we trained 6 hours a day, every single day. Like, it was that relationship that like made me a better athlete, a harder worker, a better teammate, all of those things. And if I was just trying to do it by myself, never would have happened. Yeah. So just being around teammates, the competitiveness, like it brings, rising tides raises all ships, right? So just being around people, it innately just makes you better.
Yeah. I think about a couple of people, and there's a huge list, but two guys in particular, I was talking about last week, the rehab and the hours of rehabilitation on my knee during that 6-month period, 4-month period. Two guys, Corey Driscoll, who was our head athletic trainer, and then his assistant, Luke Sauber. Arguably, in that 6 months, those were the two human beings I saw more than, for sure, not even arguably, for sure, those are the two human beings I saw more than anybody else in my life in those 6 months. The impact that they had on me, yes, they were helping me rehab my knee, but they were my main sources of when I wanted to quit or when I was feeling down or when I was feeling sorry for myself. They were the main two sources that kept me going. Yep. I would not have come back and been able to be ready to perform at 5 months from a major knee injury without those two guys. Yep. I can sit here and say, yeah, I put in the work, and yeah, I showed up every day. Yeah, that's fine. But would have I showed up without those two guys? No way in hell. No chance. Would I have kept showing up without my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, without her constantly motivating me and pushing me and encouraging me? Or my parents, who supported me that year, by the way. My parents didn't ever make a lot of money. They allowed me. I didn't have to have a job those 6 months. They supported me financially. What about if they decide they didn't want to do that? Yeah. Where would I be? So literally a 4-month span, I just rattled off 4 people. My college coach, 5 people. My friends, 10 more people.
Quarterback
that threw me routes. The guy that gave me a job and allowed me to support my wife and the flexibility in that job. Now, was that the greatest job ever? No, but he gave me an opportunity. So in that 6-month, 12-month window, there's dozens of people that had a massive impact on me. And then I get into the real world. The guy we just interviewed, Travis, and if you haven't listened to that episode, go back. I know it's a longer one, maybe one of the longest ones we've had, but it's because his story is so unbelievable. Yeah. We didn't even scratch the surface on the value that he provided me professionally. Yeah. During that time. The leadership that he taught me in those 5 years I worked for him. He's one of the best leaders, and it makes sense based on his story. Yeah. He's one of the best leaders I've ever been around. Mm-hmm. Not only was he a great boss, he was a great leader. He was a great man. He cared about me. And many of the lessons I apply in 2022, I learned from him in 2015, 16, 17, because he took the time to invest in me. And so I just think about all these people in my life that I would not be anywhere near where I am today. This life that I've sought after and I dreamed about would not be possible without those people.
I think like just one of the main points from this episode has to be just your gratitude for the opportunity to be around people. Yes. The gratitude as you interact with anybody, because you don't know what that interaction is going to do. Like the gratitude, when you just look at people, like there's times that I'm just like annoyed when I see people, and I've got to shake that, and like I've got to keep it in the forefront. Like there's so many people that have helped me. Like I have no idea what this conversation, this relationship, because how many times is like literally you meet someone one time and you're like, what is that going to, and then it turns out to be some massive connection that turns into something that you never would have expected. But just appreciate it. And then here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing that I think that we need to take from this episode is, one, recognizing how many people have done something for you to impact your life positively, but flip it now. Because of that gratitude, what impact can you make on someone else's life? So when you were interacting, when I just said, hey, you never know what they can do for you. No. Don't worry about that. Worry about, what is this conversation? How could this conversation end up impacting this person's life? This interaction, this thing that I do, whatever I do for them, this favor that I go out of my way to help somebody and not expect anything in return. Imagine being that person that a podcast 5 years from now, they're like, dude, so I met this dude, Ben Gibbs, and he didn't owe me anything, and he went out of his way, and he made this connection, and I landed the biggest deal in my life that got me a promotion that ultimately led me to where I'm at in my career and the security with my family, and doing all this because of that one interaction that I had with Ben Gibbs. Yeah. Like, imagine being that guy, the one that actually impacts someone's life. Because again, my wrestling coach never knew in that one conversation, by him trying to speak truth into me receiving it as a put down, as a takedown, how much that positively impacted me. My college coach, same deal, telling me I'm not going to be good enough. Like, that one interaction, he's trying to be honest. He had no idea at the time how much that would influence the rest of my training and career following that.
Yeah. Well, to that point, think about how you open this with your business meeting.
Yeah.
You're thinking, and I'm with you, how convenient it is to work from home.
Yeah.
It's just much simpler, much easier. And how our boss said, hey, you need to come in. Maybe it'll feed you. Maybe it'll energize you being around people. What about the people that are energized by you being there?
Yeah.
To your exact point. So whether you show up because you want to be energized by others or not, think about the flip side of other people are going to be energized by Tyler being in the office. So yeah, maybe it's inconvenient for you, but you're blessing other people. Who knows what could happen in the office if you just show up and you're around other people. So yes, it's for selfish reasons, but for unselfish reasons, it's who can I impact?
Yeah.
And so this whole work from home thing, yeah, it's great and it's got its advantages, but you're missing out on a couple elements here.
What are you holding back from other people by you working from home because it's convenient?
Because it's convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not able to pour into somebody. You're not able to, overhear conversations that you could be helpful on.
Yeah.
That's another thing. We have this open work environment.
Yeah.
And it's annoying sometimes because you're trying to get stuff done and trying to concentrate. Yeah. But I can name a handful of times where I've overheard a conversation and been able to give value to that conversation because I was there in person around people. And now we're all working together. We're all collaborating. We're all headed towards the same goal. So to sit here and think that you've accomplished anything alone, in my opinion, is false. It's ignorant. And not only are you not going to get as far as you could possibly go, the joy in your life is not going to be.
Yeah.
Even if you're an introvert like me, even if the thought of people just scares you a little bit, or at least big groups of people, even if that's you, you're still going to be better. You're still going to feed off of other people by being around them. Yeah. And you're still going to need people to come into your life at some point or another to help you get further along and to bring that joy to your life.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, that's another thing that COVID taught us. When we're all locked into our homes, I couldn't imagine being a single person during that time.
Yeah.
That's why you want to talk about suicide and mental health. All-time highs. We've been locked away in our homes, away from other human beings for 7 months.
And we're tricked into thinking that social media and podcasts and binging on Netflix is going to fulfill that gap that you...
It's fool's gold. It fills it fills it in a little bit.
It gives you...
But it's never going to be the same.
It gives you that little dopamine rush scrolling through your feed, right? Seeing a funny video, sharing it with someone. But it does not. It does not. Because, look, as many amazing, funny videos that I send you on Instagram, like, that's not going to impact your life. Right. That's not going to have any lasting impact.
I don't watch half of them, but...
I know, because you don't respond. And I'm like, this dude is missing out. What is wrong with him?
Well, think about our podcast. It's the same way. We talk about it all the time. The reason that when we have somebody in person, the episodes are much longer.
Way better.
Is because the connection is
Yes.
real. You can't replicate that. Now, it's great that technology provides us the opportunity to talk to people that we would never be able to talk to otherwise. That's awesome. But those episodes are shorter, not because we want them to be shorter. That's just the connection's just not the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have great.
I don't do real well with awkward pauses, so I'll just cut it off. All right, well, see you later.
No, but that yes, you can still have a productive conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, it still provides value. It can provide value, but the human to human interaction is just irreplaceable.
That's right.
And the more that dopamine drives us into this constant need for more, the more I realize how important human beings will always be.
Yeah.
As long as we're in the form that we are today, in-person interaction, human interaction is going to be the most valuable.
That's right.
And I just want people to take away from this. If nothing else, just reflect on your own life and how many people have come into your life.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just have some gratitude for the amount of people that have made your life to this point.
I just think, like, if you look back and, like, the most impactful conversations that you've had in your life, like, if you think back, like, I would argue that the top 3 of them are in-person conversations you've had someone sitting by a campfire, sitting in your car, and then I'd say maybe a phone conversation or 2. But, like, if you really think about it, you're like, okay, the most impactful conversations I've ever had, like, you can see that face sitting across from you.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I mean? And it's not through some form of technology.
And the most impactful for me are usually the ones that I've struggled with.
Yeah.
That I've gone through something with. That doesn't mean that every time, but it's that relationship was bonded through struggle.
Through in-person interaction.
Exactly. So if nothing else you take away from this episode, hopefully it gives you a second to reflect on all the people that are important to you in your life. Now I think about my kids more than ever.
Yeah.
And the impact they've had on me, but hopefully the impact that I can have on them.
That's right.
And the joy that they bring me.
Yeah.
And the joy hopefully that I bring to their life.
Yeah.
And it's just exciting to think I can have an impact on them the way that people have had an impact on me over my life.
Look, for me, people bring me energy. I'm not naive to think that there's some people that just suck the energy out of you. Like, I get it.
Sure.
I totally get it. But for the most part, like, human interaction is just life-bringing, energy-bringing. And don't shy away from it.
Yep.
Try to create meaningful interactions and relationships anytime that you possibly can.
And you got to put yourself out there. And I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
You've got to go to dinners. You've got to go to parties that maybe you don't know. My default is no to everything. My default is no to parties. My default is no to dinners. But every single time I leave thinking, man, I'm glad I went.
Yeah.
It's not the first thing I think about for quote unquote fun.
Yeah.
But I never leave regretting it. Typically.
Yeah.
I can't think of a time where I've left regretting it.
Well,
it's always been.
Usually when Ben leaves, though,
other people regret it.
Ben is the king of the Irish goodbye too, so you don't even know when Ben leaves because he'll be there for 45 minutes, and then where's Ben and Whitney?
I've perfected the art of vanishing. All right, this is all the social time I can have.
Smoke bombs, and I'm gone.
I've had enough social time.
Oh man, this has been so life-giving, but I'm maxed out. Boom.
I've had all the life I can get tonight. So if you're like me, other people are important. If you're like Tyler, other people are important.
That's right.
Get some good people in your life. Hopefully you have some good people in your life.
Yeah.
And if you don't, find somebody. Somehow, some way, go join a group, go join a church community.
Yeah.
Go to the bar and find yourself a girl. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I mean, you can do that if you want, but
preferably if you're single, that's the route.
Wait. All right. Before this goes off the rails too much, I think we did end on a high note. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please help us by speaking of community, speaking of sharing, speaking of feeding into other people, feed into somebody by sharing this episode.
That's right.
Encourage somebody by sharing this episode. Again, we said it yesterday. We want this podcast to be that encouragement for you. It doesn't mean we have all the answers. Doesn't mean we have life figured out. But we do hope it does encourage you, inspire you to do something today that you maybe wouldn't have done otherwise.
And so, and to do that, make sure on your boombox, record this on a
Boombox?
blank cassette tape and hand this episode on the cassette tape in person to somebody. Don't share it on social media. Don't do any of that. Like, hand it in person because we need that interaction face to face.
This episode's just whining.
Were you too young? Were you too young
We're
to actually
coming to a crash landing
make
here.
your mixtapes on cassettes?
No, I got a
Did you?
mixtape or two.
Where you actually record, you'd be like
Yeah.
listening on the radio and they're like so you'd always miss like the first 10 seconds of the song. Oh, I gotta hit play and record.
I don't want to brag, but I've been known to have a mixtape made for me.
Pretty
Mixtape or
good.
two made for me.
I could see Whitney doing mixtapes for you. There's no way you ever
Dude,
did them.
The puka shells and
puka
the
shells
Lloyd
are-
Christmas haircut drove the women
Drove
crazy.
the ladies crazy.
All right, let's go. Have a good weekend. Be on the lookout. Saturday Suffering on a Sunday this
Yeah,
week.
It's coming.
Be on the lookout for that.
next
Laugh
week
at our pain.
sometime. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna. Ugh.
So anyway, hope you guys have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Please come back and listen next week.
Don't write us off, please.
Thanks, guys.